Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. How are you? So, today I'm just doing a quick live stream on a few topics. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I just want to talk about a few things that I see people commonly struggle with when I'm meeting with them, or just comments that I read on my channel. Just common narratives that I see across the board. And so you guys can see today's title, Accept It, Own It, Move Through It. And I'm really putting this within the scope of looking at yourself and looking at certain things you need to adjust within yourself. Um, Obviously, nobody likes to feel like they need to quote unquote fix themselves, right? And really, when you're looking at my channel or how I frame these topics, it's not necessarily about fixing yourself, but more looking at how experiences have impacted you and instilled lies within your mind. Okay. Meaning, again, unhealthy beliefs, things that we don't want to hold on to, things like, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, um, I don't deserve to be prioritized, whatever it may be, right? So, from that framework, again, we're not really fixing ourselves. We're more taking inventory and seeing, do the beliefs, the narratives, the experiences that I've gone through, have they negatively impacted me? The Dylan effect is real, y'all. I need to tell you my success story. We're gonna have to coin that because now everybody's saying the Dylan effect. Um, but back to what I was saying. Okay, I actually want to bring up an example before I get into these topics because I was talking to my boyfriend about this the other day, and it's almost like there is this stigma around like doing internal work. For instance, like if you break a bone, right? You realize that there's an injury and like it needs to be healed, right? But I think oftentimes we neglect or we fail to realize how experiences we go through impact our mind, and our body holds on to those experiences. It molds and shapes our identity. It changes our perception, and taking a look at that and adjusting it isn't a bad thing. It's okay. It is okay if there are certain things that need to be adjusted or fixed. So essentially what I'm trying to say here is, when you're doing mindset work, I know it can feel defeating sometimes to think like, is there something I need to adjust within myself? And we have to look at this very honestly. So when I'm saying accept it, own it, and move through it, what I'm really talking about is putting any sort of self-judgment to the side, any sort of shame to the side, and just looking critically at yourself and assessing, like, are the ways I'm operating, are the things I'm doing, the way that I'm showing up, the way that I'm perceiving, is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is there something that needs to be adjusted? And it's okay if something needs to be fixed. It's okay. Essentially, what I'm trying to say here is we have to get past this idea that, and feeling sorry for ourselves when there is something that needs to be adjusted. Because again, it's not necessarily that something is wrong with you. It's not, again, when we look at this, like we come into this world just a little blob, right? Just a little blob. We build an identity over time, experiences shape us, and we just have to look and see if those experiences have positively impacted us or negatively impacted us. And it is okay to look at something and say, yeah, that actually needs fixing. That is actually not a healthy way for me to operate. There is something wrong with what I'm doing. And I think once we can get to that place where we can just, instead of fighting it and feeling bad for ourselves and feeling sorry for ourselves, we just say, like, yeah, okay, this is where I am. Now I have a starting point, right? Now, instead of like feeling bad about it or trying to avoid it or try to run from this truth, right? We can say, okay, well, I guess now I can move past the shame. I can move past the self judgment. And now I can see what needs to be adjusted. Okay. And so that's the vantage point that I'm going at today with just accepting it, owning it, and moving through it because I've just seen so many people really spiral and beat themselves up and feel low about themselves because they're making an adjustment, but then they are also at the same time feeling bad about needing to make that adjustment. And it's okay. We all make mistakes. And like these things are not even conscious, right? Like this is just a byproduct of experiences you've gone through. Okay. And so that's why I'm saying it in a way, yes, we're adjusting certain things within ourselves, but it's more from the vantage point of it's not necessarily that I need fixing or that is something is inherently wrong with me. It's more how have experiences impacted me and what lies or narratives am I holding on to that are getting in the way of me being able to actually experience the things I want to experience? That was a completely different vantage point, right? So if you take anything away from today's video, I hope it is that you realize it is okay. It is okay to need to make adjustments. Um, it's okay to make mistakes. It is okay to really assess yourself and look at your mind and your belief system and the thoughts you're producing, the behaviors you're producing, and really look at it honestly and say, yeah, you know what, that needs to be adjusted. D- Trust and believe this is something I've had to do many, 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 many times, and I'm sure I'm still gonna have to do it because I'm not perfect. Okay. I am not exempt from making mistakes. And like also I realized too, like, that is just how we learn. That's just how we learn. We learn this is why I love the book Psycho-Cybernetics because the author really goes into explaining the way that our brain learns is through adjustments, right? Course correction. But it's that part of us that looks at it and says, "This is wrong," like, and becomes hypercritical and beats ourselves up over making mistakes that takes away that ability to make the adjustment because now we're upset that an adjustment needs to be made. We're judging ourselves so harshly and we really stall our own progress when we do that. So I just want to start off with that. It is okay if there are things you need to make adjustments with yourself. I'll use an example from my life. Like when I went back to university years ago, I'm getting old. Years ago, a long time ago. I've been out of school for a while, and I just knew, like, and this is such a practical example that has nothing to do with relationships, but it is so funny to me. I just knew I was like terrible at math, and I did not even take like a math test, like placement test, because I just knew like I need to go all the way to the beginning, like literally the beginning. I think it was like elementary algebra, like 1 + 1 = 2. And I felt so embarrassed. I felt like kind of shameful, like, and I just remembered like thinking like I'm just like stupid. Like something's wrong with me. I'm stupid. I got to go to the lowest math. But for some reason in that moment, I was able to move past that and I was like, you know what? This is just, it's fine. It's fine that I struggle with this. It's fine that this is my starting point because if I take this stupid like placement exam and I get into like algebra 1 or calculus 1 and I'm not able to do it, I'm going to feel even worse. Like this is just my starting point and I have to be honest about that. And I had to take so many more classes than I needed to get to that point, like literally years of math, which is fine. But the point is because I got past that shame and I just like looked at where I was and accepted it from a sustainability standpoint, it worked out in the long term. And even though I felt embarrassed and sometimes I had a moment of doubt, like I remember going to teachers and being like, I literally don't know how to study. Like I was just so honest, like this is just where I am. It really is where I am. But because I was honest and I just showed up and I allowed myself to go through that change, I learned very, very quickly. And so again, we take away our ability to learn accurately when we're not fully honest. We don't really set ourselves up for success because then we're going to move towards something we can't actually sustain because we're not in a version of ourselves that can really do that yet. And you can get there. It doesn't have to take a long time. I know I'm using like school as an example, okay? But when it comes to even shifting beliefs, sometimes when you jump too far, and like I talked about in the last live stream, you want to make sure you have a solid foundation. It can be very, very triggering. And my whole goal when it comes to any change you make within yourself, especially when I work with somebody, is make the change and get the results you want to create within your life, but do it in a way where you get to feel comfortable within your body, because there is no need for you to be like suffering, right? Whereas for example, with my little math example, I would have been suffering if I was in calculus one at that time. Okay. I would have been spiraling. Like it just would not have been a good time for me. So, anyways, that was my little example from my own personal life from many, many years ago. All right. So, again, the point here is if there is something that needs to be adjusted, that is okay. I really, really hope that whoever is listening to this, you give yourself the pass to not beat yourself up, to really look at what's going on in your life and to just critically assess it and see, let me take all the self judgment out. Where am I actually? Like, what does this actually say? What needs to be adjusted? Let me remove all this self judgment. What actually needs to change within myself? And so that I can create sustainable results. And maybe I do feel like I'm fixing myself. Maybe I do feel like I'm adjusting myself, and that's okay. I am allowed to be imperfect. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I am allowed to grow. And at the core of that, I've always deserved to be respected, loved, prioritized. It's not that I was never good enough for these things. I'm just assessing where I am and the adjustments that I need to make within myself so I can sustain the things I want in my life. All right. Okay. The other things I'm going to talk about today is emotions and how getting emotional does not always mean you're dysregulated. We got to talk about that because some of you are processing emotions. And then when emotions are coming up, you're thinking that you're dysregulated. And so you want to do something for your nervous system. But that in and of itself is avoiding your emotions. Okay. So we'll talk about that. Okay. Because you want to process your emotions and then bring yourself back to a baseline, but you don't want to always you don't want to perceive being emotional as being dysregulated. All right. I'm going to talk about fun routines. Okay. Things that I do in my life that make mindset fun, because I think at the beginning when you're making adjustments, okay, I do want to say this, when you're making adjustments and you're touching on things that are deep and a little painful, you're going to be a bit more disciplined. And I'll explain that a bit more in a second. But once you get past that hump and you're in a space where like you're dominantly mentally, emotionally stable, you're not getting barraged with like tons of intrusive thoughts, you are enjoying your life, there are ways to make mindset so much fun. And we'll get into that. Okay. Um, that ties into like growth and diversifying your life. And then I'm just going to really reiterate that it is okay to make mistakes. Okay. Because I just feel like that is a point that just everybody needs to hear. And I'm probably going to finish on like the importance of nervous system regulation, especially with everything that is going on in the world. Okay. Like this is a very important time to do nervous system regulation, to be within your body, to be discerning. I have some meditations I'm going to put out to things. My schedule has changed a little bit. Okay. But I think more than ever, this is a time to really make sure that you feel safe in your body, you're discerning, and again, you have a healthy, strong belief system to be able to respond, show up, empower yourself, empower other people. Okay. All right. So, again, let's talk about emotions. What I've been seeing, um, what I've been seeing again is when people are making belief adjustments, there's a period of kind of purging, right? Like if you've been holding on to past experiences or suppressing emotions, as you do nervous system regulation and as your body starts to relax and feel safe, it's a very common experience for different emotions to come up randomly because your body is now feeling safe enough to process them. And this can just look like going about your day and then just getting like a bout of anger or like sadness or anxiety, whatever it may be. And you're like, there's nothing really making me feel this way immediately in my environment. Like, where's this emotion coming from? Probably because you're doing belief work. Now, one thing that I want to say across the board, no matter what, when you are doing belief work, especially at the beginning, do not fall off on nervous system regulation. And I know I've talked about nervous system regulation on my channel a lot, but the reason why I say this, especially at that time period, is because let's say like you are just feeling a bit overwhelmed. You don't want to sleep with like affirmations on. You don't really want to do like meditations or belief work. You just want to take a break, which is totally fine. When you start to feel overwhelmed, give yourself a break, 1 or 2 days. In those 1 or 2 days, though, it is my opinion and it's my advice, it's my suggestion to still do nervous system regulation at least like 2 or 3 times a day. That could be like breath work, EFT tapping, whatever you like, exercise, whatever. This is not a one size fits all type of thing. It is figuring out what you enjoy doing. The reason why is because even when you're not doing belief work, your brain is still processing the belief work. So you could be going about your day and then subconsciously your mind again is processing the belief work that you're doing and starts to push against some of the beliefs. And so you get like memories from your past popping up or emotions coming up and it dysregulates you, right? If you're doing consistent nervous system regulation, you're keeping your body within that safe place to process beliefs and changes in a more regulated way, okay, without it being like chaotic. Okay, so if you want to take a break from belief work, do it. Okay, if you're getting exhausted, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take a break. Just make sure that you are still doing nervous system regulation, practicing things to relax your body to help you continue to feel safe in your body as you're going through the changes. Okay. So, again, like I was saying, when you start doing belief work, it is a normal experience, especially even when you're doing like nervous system regulation activities like breath work to kind of cry as you're doing it, because again, your body's feeling safe enough to process the emotions. That does not mean, though, that when you are processing emotions that you are dysregulated. Okay? Again, we don't want to associate emotions as something that is bad. They are there for, like I said in the intuition video, they are there for a reason. They're signals. Okay? Anger is a very powerful emotion. And once you form a healthy relationship with it, your ability to uphold boundaries is exponential. Okay? Like you need that emotion there so that when something is going on that you don't like, you can stand up for yourself and say, no, no, absolutely not. And there's no shaking in your voice because that anger is being channeled in a very constructive way. Okay. So, no, I know some of these emotions are uncomfortable, but we don't want to, again, associate emotions with dysregulation. They're just things that need to be processed. Okay. So, when you have emotions coming up, what you really want to do is go into them. You want to allow yourself to feel them. I like to do this with music. Okay. And typically what happens, like if I'm sad, I'm putting on the saddest music. Okay. And I will let the memories flow. I will let my mind go to where it wants to go. I don't resist my body. I trust my body. So if you're bringing this up, like, let's go, boo. Well, what are we processing? Let's go. Okay. Like I'm right there with you. We got this. That is how you want to treat your emotions. Because once you're done processing it, once you're exhausted and you're just like, okay, I'm all cried out, or anger is a bit more of like a energetic emotion. So like you can channel that into an activity, maybe put on some angry music, whatever you need to do. Let yourself go there. Okay. You'll hit that point though where you're like, okay, I'm done being angry, I'm done being sad, I'm done being whatever. Okay. Once you're done, that is where you do the nervous system regulation. Okay. So you want to process your emotions and allow your body to go through that experience. And then you bring it back to a baseline with nervous system regulation so that you don't spiral out into like bouts of prolonged emotions. Okay. You'll know that point when you're exhausted. After that, then I would do a grounding meditation. Okay, so that is how you want to treat your emotions. You do not want to look at them like you are just dysregulated. No, no, you have emotions. It's okay. Okay, so allow yourself to feel them. The only thing that I will say is don't use being emotional as an excuse to project it onto other people. Okay, like if I'm angry and upset, that does not give me angry or sad, whatever, that does not give me the right to like offload that onto somebody else or attempt to make other people angry and sad. Okay, so develop the ability, like you can go to people for support, right? If you are, it's totally okay to have a support system, but you have to realize too, like you have to develop your own ability to process your emotions, to go through them, to allow your mind to process whatever it needs to, and then bring yourself back to a baseline. This is important too because I, at least when I look back at myself when I've had this experience, as my brain is going through the memories or whatever it is that I'm like emotional about, I also start to like shift in my perception around it, right? And this is kind of like you go through the emotion and that helps you let go of the experience as well too, especially if you're doing belief work, right? And you're growing as an individual and you're no longer identifying with past experiences. It really helps you process these things visually within your mind and release the emotional impact of it so that you can move forward. All right, so again, the only thing I want to say there is those 2 points. It is okay if experiences have negatively impacted you and you need to make adjustments, and it's also okay to process your emotions. There is no such thing as being too emotional. So if people in your life are telling you that you're too emotional, they're just most likely emotionally unavailable and attempting to invalidate your emotions, which is not okay. Like your emotions are valid, your experiences are valid, but at the same time, like I said, yeah, you can get support for people and, you know, definitely 100%, like friends, family, whatever. You should feel safe enough to express your emotions, but it is not their responsibility to go through those emotions, regulate you, or help like do that process, right? So there has to be this balance of being able to do that with yourself. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you never really process your emotions, so you continue to have the same conversations over and over and over and over again. There's not really a solution, right? We keep getting triggered in the same ways and not really growing. Okay. So there's no like, you can be as emotional as you want to be. It's okay. Just make sure you have the tools. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Now let's talk about routines. So, like I was saying a second ago, it is at the beginning when you're doing belief work, you're probably going to find that being more disciplined is beneficial. Um, I've shared this plenty of times before, and especially at the beginning of my journey with belief work, I was doing a lot of nervous system regulation. That is an understatement. Okay. I needed it. It's okay. It is what it is. I was doing a lot because I was triggered. That's really the only way I can say it. Okay. So at the beginning, you're probably going to want to be more disciplined and you're going to thank yourself for this. All right. Like breath, I was on top of breath work. Like I remember like being in such a frozen state that I just like went and put my shoes on and forced myself to go outside to go on a jog just because I needed to get out of the like inside environment to like clear my mind, and then like getting my heart rate up regulated me and it allowed me to like again do the other things I needed to do. It was a battle for me. Okay. I'm just gonna be honest. It was a battle. Okay. But it's fine. So at the beginning, upping the nervous system regulation and being disciplined with what you're doing, I can understand how doing mindset work can feel a little bit like a job, especially because you have intrusive thoughts and focuses and they are just going nonstop. Okay. It is so uncomfortable and you just want relief. So in that time period, you're probably going to be a bit more disciplined just because it's not, somebody said triggered land. Exactly. Once we get past that, and you will get past that if you are there, you will get past it. Just stay on top of the nervous system regulation and doing healthy belief work. Once you're past that though, I'm going to just share some of my favorite routines. I'm going to share what I do most mornings with my boyfriend, the routine that we've developed, but just other ways that I approach belief work that is enjoyable for me. And I also want to say this here, there should be no shame in like sharing this. This is actually a really, beautiful thing to do with a partner. If they understand mindset and they understand nervous system regulation, like having a little routine where you do that together is such a beautiful bonding experience. I'm going to create a meditation for that on my channel where you can do it with your significant other. But yeah, this should never be, like I said at the beginning, this should never be like something that we are ashamed of. Again, if we get a physical injury, we understand there's something needs to be adjusted, right? So if experiences have negatively impacted us, then yeah, something needs to be adjusted. That's okay. All right. So again, routines. Favorite morning routine that I've developed with him is obviously doing breath work, doing some EFT tapping, but we do this like outside in the sun. So, which is good when you first wake up, really exposing yourself to that sunlight, getting that vitamin D up. Again, doing breath work out in nature or outside, doing an EFT tapping session, and then doing a visualization meditation. And it usually takes us about like 30 minutes. If, again, if you are not with somebody, this is a really effective way to integrate mindset work in is always do something nervous system first and then meditation second. Okay. The EFT tapping part of the routine there is beliefs. The visualization is not beliefs. Okay. But I've said on my channel a lot of times I wouldn't really focus on like results until you're within a belief system that is congruent with that result. Okay. So again, that's a fun, like really nice bonding experience, especially if there are things that you want to work on within your relationship or you have goals with somebody where it's like, let's sit down, let's regulate together, let's do this meditation to reinforce healthy beliefs. And then let's come up with like a visual and a routine that we do together. And it's just a really fun, honestly, such so enjoyable. The other things that I don't think I've really talked about on my channel is, or very much, I've probably touched on it here and there, is habit stacking. I touched on this actually when I brought up the subliminals. Now, again, at the beginning, you're going to want to be more like deliberate or present with the belief work that you're doing because you're moving out of that dysregulated state. But even when you're there may be certain times where, like, just from a time perspective, you don't have the time to sit down and do a meditation. So putting on like affirmations while you're like getting ready, that's why for the like, which one was it? The Life of the Party subliminal, that track has like dance music to it, kind of. Okay. Taking activities that obviously you're doing, getting ready, and then putting affirmations on with that. Okay. So again, you're getting multiple things done, but you're still reinforcing healthy beliefs. My absolute favorite, though, okay, my absolute favorite thing to do when it comes to mindset, and I've been doing this for years, is getting a massage and listening to affirmations at the same time. And this is, in my opinion, very useful for when you are dealing with things that are potentially triggering. Let me explain why. Getting a massage is obviously regulating, but it is a physical touch to your body that induces safety, right? Hopefully, if you have a good masseuse. Okay. So you are physically inducing regulation and helping your body physically feel safe. Okay. As you are meditating on beliefs that could be potentially triggering. Okay. So you're physically showing your body it is safe and it is okay to relax and confront things that are triggering mentally. Okay, so we're talking about like the mind body connection here. Okay. Not only that, when you're getting a massage, you're typically so relaxed that you're in a state akin to sleep, right? Like you're trying not to fall asleep. So you're extremely tired. Okay, like you're on the borderline of falling asleep. You're physically inducing relaxation and safety into your body. And then you're looping affirmations that would be potentially triggering and showing your body that it is safe to believe these things. Okay. Hands down, my favorite way to do belief work because it's an hour, right? So that's an hour of reinforcing healthy beliefs, enjoying relaxation, and doing it in a very, very efficient way for your body, especially with things that could be potentially triggering. So I wanted to share that one. If you guys have never tried that, I definitely suggest it. Now, overall, what I'm talking about here is when it comes to belief work, this is intuitive. You want to develop a routine that works for you that you enjoy. That's very, very important. So at the beginning, it may feel like work, but there are ways like that you can work mindset into your day that are enjoyable. So it's not a job. It should be more just reinforcement. It should be fun. Okay. Like you're doing belief work to reinforce things like, oh, I'm becoming this person, but you're like able to deal with life and you're not like running to it as a savior. Okay. When you're in that dysregulated space, I understand that approach, but moving past that, it should be just exciting and enjoyable. And whenever it does not feel exciting or enjoyable, that is where I would take a step back. Because the more that you can engage with these things in that fun, light way, you're really going to move like adopting new beliefs and adjusting yourself is going to be a lot easier, in my opinion. So, a comparison here is kind of like going to the gym. I've used this example for sure on my channel. Okay. Um, you can go into the gym, do the perfect routine, all these things, eat perfectly, sleep, whatever. When you leave, ideally, you don't want to be thinking about the gym. When you go to the gym, you put on like your playlist, you have a good time, like you enjoy the process. Hopefully, okay, if you're not like working out too hard and like doing too much in the gym, it's a fun process once it becomes normalized within your life. So, and then you don't like, you should not be standing in front of a mirror being hypercritical of yourself or waiting for changes to occur. That is the same exact way you want to approach mindset. This is just an area like you're adjusting things within yourself, but do not make it the centerfold of your entire life. Make it a piece because there has to be times, and this I know this is difficult when you're getting tons of intrusive thoughts and behaviors, okay? But there has to be times where you disconnect from it and you embrace and enjoy life too. And the changes will naturally occur as you persist. Okay. So is it too much to listen to affirmations all day? I mean, if that's the place where you are right now and that is what you enjoy, there's no rules, you guys. Okay. I'm just saying don't burn yourself out. Okay. Don't burn yourself out. If you're enjoying it and you're getting relief out of it and it is helping things sink in, do what is enjoyable for you. But also realize you want to get to a point where you're not listening to affirmations, you're embodying them. You're living your life. And then it just becomes something that is fun to reinforce. Or it's like, what do I want to adjust next? And how can I integrate these changes into my day that makes it fun, where I can fit this in and allow for the changes to occur? And that is really the way you want to approach mindset, in my opinion, and making these changes. All right. Excuse me. I see some of you talking about nightmares. I've talked about this on my channel a few times before. So, but I will cover it. Gamify it basically. Yeah. Yeah. Again, like you're the one creating your life. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, like, okay, making changes is always going to feel uncomfortable at first. It's going to be out of your comfort zone. There may be some discomfort, right? And that's fine. We expect that. Just like how, like, when you, I guess, pick up playing a new game, it's uncomfortable because you don't know the controls and all that. But then it gets to a point where it's like you just play it and then you like focus on other things, right? It becomes a bit more, it's fun, it's intuitive, right? So that's how you want to be with mindset. When it's not feeling enjoyable anymore, see how you can adjust it. It's like if sitting down doing breath work is not enjoyable, then what is enjoyable for you? If spoken affirmations is you're starting to feel like, ooh, my body's pushing against this, let me do a subliminal with the same affirmations. I wouldn't be changing the beliefs that you're doing all the time, but see how can I adjust this into my day in a way that is enjoyable? Am I overdoing it? Okay, let me like take that down a little bit and focus on other areas of my life that are enjoyable and integrate this in a way that I actually enjoy. The more that you can enjoy it, again, the more you're going to that translates into so many different areas of your life, right? The whole point here is not to just listen to affirmations, it's to embody, to embrace life, to embrace new experiences. So if I'm feeling like I'm chained to mindset work and I'm not enjoying my day at all, that's not the approach we want to take. We want to be making healthy adjustments, but realizing we're making these adjustments so that when we go out into the world, we enjoy our experiences and we can embrace new things. Okay. So, all right. With dreams, if you don't want to use headphones, use a speaker. Okay. Yeah. Headphones is not required. Dreams, when you do belief work at the beginning, your brain processes things in a visual way. So when you are listening to beliefs that are in contradiction to your current belief system, it is very normal to get nightmares because that is your brain's way when you're asleep of creating visuals to reject the belief system. Okay. And they can be very symbolic or they could just be not necessarily related to the beliefs that you're doing. Do you have to pay attention to your dreams? No. Is it something you'll notice? Yes. Is it creepy sometimes? Yes. Do the dreams feel very vivid and real? And you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, was I dreaming? Was that real? Like, where am I? Yes, they're very, very vivid. So, my only thing when that is occurring is just make sure that you're really on top of nervous system regulation to again help your body feel safe with making these changes because your brain's only doing that in an effort to protect you. So you have beliefs for a reason. You have gone through enough experiences and your brain has gathered enough information to say this belief is true. So when you go in a new direction, a belief that is opposite of your current belief system, your brain in a way is saying, this is not safe. You're going to get hurt or X, Y, and Z is going to happen to you because we hold this belief and we have all these experiences to support why believing this or going in this direction isn't going to work for you. It's dangerous. It's not safe. Okay. And your brain can do that in so many different ways. This is why I said, even during the day, when you're not doing belief work, continue to do nervous system regulation because your brain is still processing the belief work that you're doing, even when you're awake. Okay. So if you're getting nightmares or weird, wonky dreams, it's not a bad sign. It's not a bad sign. It's actually showing you that what you're listening to is addressing and touching on things that need to be addressed. But again, if you're uncomfortable, take a break for a night. Really up the nervous system regulation. Listen to yourself. But I think the thing is, it can be a little bit scary if you have no idea what's going on. And so you may not want to continue with it because you think like something bad is going on when that's not the case. Okay. All right. I was going to talk about growth, diversifying your life, but I already touched on that. Okay. So lastly, I just want to end again on this note, which I just think myself, anybody, all humans, we all need to hear this. It is okay to make mistakes. Okay. And I know that is so simple for me to say and not anything that is like groundbreaking, but I think we underestimate how harsh we can be on ourselves sometimes. And we may have multiple people watching us, family members, friends, society, societal expectations, and we may be comparing ourselves to other people sometimes. And so when we make mistakes, it can feel very easy to become hypercritical and judge yourself and beat yourself up. And I just want to say again, it's okay to make mistakes and you can make mistakes and still be loved. Like nobody here is holding you to this standard of perfection. And if people are withdrawing love and attention from you because you've made mistakes, honestly, fuck them. That's really the only thing I can say. But like, two, please ask them, like, have you never made mistakes in your life before? Why? Okay. But I don't think that's even a conversation worth your energy or time. The right people, I just want you to know this, the right people will not hold mistakes against you. That's a natural part of life. But the first person that needs to do that is you with yourself. And there's so much beauty in mistakes, actually. There really is. The biggest losers in life, or the biggest winners, messing this up. The biggest winners in life were the biggest losers. This is just a part of the human experience. We learn through making mistakes. And if you knew better, you would have done better. If you knew how to do it correctly, you would have done it. But you didn't. So you made a mistake, and that is okay. That's how you learn. All right. So I just really want to talk about this because this needs to be normalized within dynamics, within relationships. Even when you're within a healthy belief system, nobody is ever going to be 100% perfect. No human is. We all make mistakes. And when we're really, really, really hard on ourselves about mistakes, it makes it very difficult to create relationships where real growth can occur because we're not able to do that with ourselves. So if you want a healthy relationship with somebody where you can be yourself and you can make mistakes and you can laugh at it and be like, "Oh my gosh, I totally made a mistake. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm going to learn from that." And you want to be with somebody that is able to do the same thing. The first step to that is being accountable for your mistakes and being okay with them and realizing, wow, I actually don't have to be perfect. I can make mistakes and still be loved. I can mess up sometimes. And as long as I own it and I actually make a change within myself, it's okay. I'm here to learn. That is a beautiful part of just life in general with anything that you do, any growth process that you have. Okay. Is you're going to go into new experiences and you're doing the mindset work, but you're still going to make mistakes. You're going to grow and you're going to learn and you're going to pick up new evidence to support these new ways of identifying. But I promise you, you're going to get in your way if you beat yourself up over making mistakes. So they are literally a gold mine. Okay. They're a gold mine because now you have information and feedback to show you, oh, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? What am I learning? Let me move forward. Okay. All right. Lastly, I'm going to just touch on this very briefly, and I'm going to talk about this very indirectly. Right now, with everything going on, it is, in my opinion, even more important to keep yourself grounded within your body and regulated. I think really, again, keeping yourself grounded because there is so much information circulating the internet right now, so much kind of confusion, and regardless of what happens moving forward, you want to be within a place with yourself to see clearly, to remain discerning, and to not allow the overload of information to overwhelm you and confuse you. Because for positive change to occur, we need critical thinking to be there, discernment, and people that can stand on a solid basis within themselves. Okay? So if you need to take a break, somebody wrote, I stopped watching the news. Yes, if you need to for your mental health. This is important too, because when I look at my channel, the intention behind it too is we create change in society one person at a time. So with each one of us, and me included, because I'm not above anybody. Okay. I'm here talking about what I've learned and sharing tools and sharing my knowledge of how the brain and the body work. Okay. But when each one of us takes the time to build a healthy belief system and regulate our bodies and set a healthy example, okay, that's going to impact your life and it's going to change your life in a good way. But it also impacts everybody around you. Okay. We like the people in your immediate reality, they see the changes you're going through and it influences them. And you have no idea the interactions that you have each day that actually impact people. So when you uphold healthy boundaries, when you're showing up and you're regulated and you're smiling and it's genuine, people see that and they start learning from it. And some of them might even humble themselves down and say, like, you've gone through so many changes, like, what are you doing? Okay. So my whole intention with my channel is to empower people to get into a healthy belief system, into a regulated state to one, better their life, but also positively impact their community. And we cannot create positive impacts within our community. One, let me say this, it is not any individual's responsibility to save the world. Okay. Like you are responsible for yourself and yourself only. But obviously, we have communities and we want to make sure we're in healthy, functioning communities and we're a part of that community. And as that, we have a role of showing up in a healthy way. But when you do that too, it also impacts your community. Okay. So when you're making these changes within yourself, it does extend beyond you. It does. But like I was saying, more than ever, it's important to one, process your emotions because there's a lot going on. We don't want to suppress anything. But at the same time, keep your routines in place for yourself to stay grounded, to set an example of stability. Because I think right now, more than ever, we need to set an example of stability. Okay? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have some meditations coming out though, too. Just like world peace kind of meditations, stuff like that. But individually, too, I think we create a better world by being better individuals, right? By setting that example, by being the change. And that doesn't mean that like things change immediately, but your impact can be long lasting and far reaching. So that's all I really had to say about that. Okay. All right. I hope you all have a beautiful day, night time, wherever you are. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all the love in the chat. I also want to say thank you to I am Ki. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to say this name. I am Kihiri. They donated $20. I appreciate that. That was very sweet of you. Anyways, I hope you all have a beautiful day, night time, wherever you are. And I will see you all later.